Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Monday, 6th May 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. Guyana Government accused of mismanagement of Guyanese resources. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. David Patterson, a member of the Alliance for Change, has accused ExxonMobil of depriving Guyanese of their national patrimony through its operations, while also criticizing the People's Progressive Party civic government for mismanaging the nation. This strong statement reflects ongoing concerns and debates over handling the country's oil resources and governance issues. HGP's Dacia Richards reports.
These are not things to boast about. These are crime-shapen mismanagement of Guyanese resources or natural patrimony.
Patterson highlighted that the government is celebrating quote-unquote half-baked implementations, while audits submitted to the Guyana Revenue Authority, GRA, by the APNU AFC during its tenure remains unaltered as of September 2020.
4 years. And yet, up to now, we can't even get they can't move forward. Exxon has challenged it. GRA said they're sticking with the same report that they received in 2020.
He added that the US $107 million that was in the audit report submitted by IHS Marketing, which was contracted by the Ministry of Natural Resources, is still owed to Guyana. He believes that the PPPC government just boasts about their failures.
So I don't know what they're boasting about. They're just boasting about their failures in non-implementation. 2 years after they signed the audit for the remaining blocks, we still can't get it released. None of the audits has even been released officially.
He also mentioned the Gas to Shore project that Exxon has committed to build in 2020 that is yet to be completed. But the price for the project continues to see a huge increase.
And they're boasting about the project that has moved from $655 million to over $2 billion. Exxon has moved the pipeline alone. It's not the pipeline and the gas plant that they submitted to us and committed to us. They've moved the pipeline alone.
For AGP Nightly News, I am Dacia Richards.
The Ministry of Tourism is moving to stamp out the sale of counterfeit merchandise by some retail operators on Port Zante in St. Kitts. According to tourism officials, this illegal practice has become a problem that they intend to end before the next cruise season begins. Glenn Bart of SKN Newsline reports.
The Ministry of Tourism is moving to stamp out the sale of counterfeit merchandise by some retail operators on Port Zante. According to tourism officials, this illegal practice has become a problem that they intend to end before the next cruise season begins. Since laws governing issues of counterfeit merchandise already exist, it is a matter of monitoring stores and to bring charges against business operators engaged in such practices. Minister of Tourism Marsha Henderson indicated at a recent press conference that engagement with store owners have begun and action is being undertaken in relation to the monitoring and policing of stores.
One of the things we came up with, and I can't say too much, otherwise people will find ways around the system. But one of the things we agreed upon in relation to fake jewelry and even rum, and there's complaints of fake fabric, fake Caribbean batik fabric. We have agreed that we will get employed within either the ministry or SKTA a jeweler who would be doing random checks. In fact, we will embark on an initiative before the start of the season to sensitize and ensure and do checks with our jewelry stores and those who are selling jewelry. The merchants have agreed that we should embark on random checks to ensure that the items within on the ports within the stores are in fact authentic. We are also partnering with the banks who have complained of a number of chargebacks. So when visitors go back and they realize the merchandise is fake, they charge it back. We have an initiative that I can't say much about as well with the banks that we will be working with and the merchants there on making sure that persons are penalized.
The sale of counterfeit products has far-reaching ramifications, including issues of revenue loss, customer safety and protection, the erosion of trust, as well as legal and ethical implications. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
Prime Minister Philip Davis of the Bahamas addresses Global Citizen Now panel in New York, tackling the issue of acting today to save tomorrow. More in this ZNS News item.
That tomorrow depends solely on what action and accountability is taken to fight climate change, long deemed a crisis. Davis today sharing with his colleagues the wrath of 2019's Hurricane Dorian and its lingering challenges 5 years later.
In our society, the elderly, the women, the young people, those who are mentally challenged, the disabled, who are most affected by the impact and the consequences, they're still recovering from the trauma of that event. When it rains, many of them still squirm in horror. So something has to be done. It also reminds me that small island developing states like ours, we're in a cycle of disaster and death.
The Prime Minister painting the picture of a frightening outcome if nothing is done, as storms are predicted to become more frequent and intense.
We are not talking about the fact that another hurricane may come, one that may be more devastating than Dorian. The only question is when it will come. And if we don't do something soon, we all will become climate refugees somewhere, or we'll all be doomed to what I call a watery grave because of rising sea levels.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The consensus is that constitutional reform is needed. According to Member of Parliament for Port of Spain South, Keith Scotland, this was the common theme throughout the PNM Constitutional Reform Committee's internal consultation. TTT News has more.
The fourth installment was hosted at Balizé House, Port of Spain, and included the Northwest PNM constituencies and membership. Speaking to the media following the consultation, Mr. Scotland indicated the topics discussed.
What you would have seen today was a full house at Balizé House on a Saturday afternoon with several competing events, and I must say the contributions had depth. There was depth in the contributions, and we have touched areas such as the Office of the DPP, areas such as the Service Commission and the CCJ to see if indeed these institutions are still fit for purpose. People's National Movement is of the opinion that we have a constitution, but it needs to be reformed, and that is what we're about. And when we go to the National Committee, we will have a robust submission to be made.
There are 3 more consultations planned over the coming weeks.
Chief Executive Officer of AmCham TNT, Nirad Tiwari, says the current Auditor General's accounting audit impasse is neither good for public confidence nor trust in institutions. Andrea Perez Sobers shares more in this edition of CNC3's Business Watch.
An amicable resolution is needed into the impasse between Auditor General and Finance Minister. That's according to AmCham's TT CEO Nirad Tiwari. Speaking exclusively to Business Watch on Wednesday at AmCham TNT's second annual ESG conference, which took place at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, Tiwari notes that this does not augur well for two important institutions to go to court.
What needs to happen is that whatever the discrepancies are and whatever the process to reconcile what is between a 2.6 billion and 3.4 billion discrepancy, that those things are rectified. We also noticed that the Auditor General flagged almost $1 billion in expenditure that can't be accounted for. That is a cause for concern. We are hopeful that it's just a matter of finding the appropriate documentation.
Tiwari adds that public confidence must always remain intact in important institutions.
We would like to see a resolution quickly and ideally amicably, because it's not serving, I don't think, anyone, including the parties involved, well, and certainly not the general public, to have confidence in these institutions undermined in such a way.
Finance Minister Colm Imbert has since sought legal counsel on a letter from Auditor General Jaiwanti Ramdas.
Over in Jamaica, where the People's National Party politician and land developer, who is a suspect in his wife's murder, appeared May 2nd before the court to seek bail. While the outcome is pending, he and his legal team are optimistic. CVM's reporter Natalia Clark has that story.
Murder-accused Jolyon Silvera today appeared in the Home Circuit Court. The former PNP Member of Parliament for St. Mary Western is accused of killing his wife, Melissa, in November last year. His attorneys, King's Counsel Peter Champagny and Patrice Riley, say the judge is left to ponder his bail application. His fate will be known on May 14.
We return on the 14th of May, when the learned judge will give a decision in respect of bail. Today, the application was made. There were extensive arguments on both sides. These are arguments that I cannot go into. Mr. Riley and I cannot go into them because of the position of the court in terms of its ruling, which we have to abide by as officers of the court.
It was initially reported that Melissa Silvera died in her sleep of natural cause. However, an autopsy soon revealed she died from gunshot wounds. Her husband was arrested in January, a week after her funeral. Today's hearing, which the media again didn't have access to, began sometime after 2 and ended shortly before 5. As Silvera left the courtroom, he smiled. Champagny surmises it reflects his optimism that bail will be granted.
Perhaps an indication that he's pleased with the representation that he has received today. But he's cautiously optimistic, and we believe we presented some cogent arguments for consideration. And in these matters, the decision that is arrived at is not one that is arrived at hastily, especially when the arguments are as voluminous and complex as they were this afternoon.
Casey Champagny says sufficient information was shared in Thursday's hearing, and on May 10, days before the bail outcome is known, the prosecution will have another opportunity to respond.
On the 10th, it is for some submissions in law to be made. The prosecution wants an opportunity to rebut some of the legal arguments, the authorities that we presented on our client's behalf. And the process allows for that to happen.
Natalia Clark, CVM News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.